Hello, everyone. This is our presentation on Senate Bill number 1046 about DUI convictions and interlock devices that are installed. A brief introduction is throughout the presentation and the report, ignition interlock devices will be abbreviated as IIDs. And going on to the Senate Bill number 1046, it was introduced and became law in 2019. And some of the quick changes about that law are listed over to the side here. You can see that people who are convicted for DUI, first-time offenders without injuries, have options on what they can do now as far as installing IEDs or choosing restricted license options. And the main changes come with either becoming a second, third, fourth-time offender, or if there's a first-time offender that involves an injury or death, these people don't have the choice anymore. They have to have an IID installed in their vehicle, which basically limits their driving as far as they can't operate their vehicle if there's alcohol in their system. So this is one of the big changes as far as that goes. And again, it's listed on the side if you want to pause and check some of the listings. But again, it's basically how it changes that if you're convicted for multiple DUIs, you don't have the choice anymore. You have to have the IID installed. And it's also listed how long it needs to be in place. If you're a fourth-time offender, it needs to be on there for at least 3 years. And again, these could change depending on what the courts say. Going on to problem statement, the main issue is that alcohol-related deaths and accidents, things like that, have been on a steady increase in recent years. So something needed to be done. And as will be discussed later, there was a pilot program that was in place for the past few years on the IIDs and their operation. But again, in 2019, that's when this became the law. Some other states that have come up with similar laws or things like that have seen significant decreases in accidents and deaths, such as in New Mexico. Their law came out in 2005, and since then, DUI-related fatalities are down 38%. In Arizona and Louisiana, they both had laws that came out in 2007, and their fatalities were down 43% in Arizona and 35% in Louisiana. And in 2008, Oregon came out with a similar law, and since 2008, their fatalities are down 42%. So it's a significant decrease, which is why California was looking to find something that worked as well as the other states in trying to bring fatalities, deaths, injuries, things like that down. So thank you.
A little background on the SB 1046 law and the use of ignition interlock devices is that IIDs were created in the 1960s, but they were not enforced. They were created in order to reduce drunk driving offenses, but it wasn't until the 1980s that a pilot program was set up in order to enforce the use of IIDs in the courtroom during sentencing. However, judges were given the option to apply it to their sentencing, and if they didn't want to, then they wouldn't. So it was still an option. And in 2006, Mothers Against Drunk Driving created a campaign to advocate for the use of IIDs. And so this brought more attention to the device and also what the possibilities could be when creating a law or a policy that involved the devices. And so in 2009, the AB 91, so Assembly Bill 91, became the official pilot program in California. The program was set to start from 2010 and end in 2017. And in the pilot program, the IIDs were a requirement for sentencing for repeat offenders and for second-time offenders. However, for first-time offenders, it was still up to the judge's discretion if they wanted to use IIDs in their sentencing. And so after this pilot program was over, they did find that there was an improvement in the recidivism rate of drunk driving offenses. Although it wasn't significant, it was still an improvement, and this led to the creation of the Senate Bill 1046 in 2016 by Jerry Hill, which would now require IIDs for first time offenders. They would have to have it for 6 months, and then for second time offenders, it would be 1 year, and then for repeat offenders, it would be 3 to 4 years that they would have to have these devices installed. And primarily, they would be requirements for DUI offense sentencing. And so this did change the way IIDs were used and will be used in the future. Key stakeholders in laws involving DUI offenses are the organization Mothers Against Drunk Driving, federal, state, and local law enforcement, and the American Beverage Institute. Mothers Against Drunk Driving have campaigned, as previously mentioned. They campaigned in 2006 for the enforcement of IIDs and generally have been supportive overall, including with the costs that come with enforcing IIDs. Federal, state, and local law enforcement have been in support of the SB 1046 law. The San Francisco Police Department is an example of an agency that has been very vocal in their support of DUI offense laws. The American Beverage Institute has been in support and also against the law. They have been in support because they do promote the responsible driving and drinking, and they have been against it because of the costs that come with maintaining and installing IIDs, and they feel the requirements placed by the law on first-time offenders can be considered excessive. The legislators essentially have been influenced by these primary stakeholders, so they have created a law that is cost effective and a law that still enforces the severity of not drinking and driving and following the DUI laws so that we have less offenders.
We reviewed several of the policy models to see which one would best fit the SB406 DUI deterrent law. We reviewed rational model, incrementalism, group therapy, public choice, advocacy coalition, and Kingdom's multiple streams. And we decided that incrementalism was probably the best fit for what we were looking for. Charles E. Lindblom and the Science of Muddling Through discusses the concept of incrementalism, which, in his thought, policymakers are not going to look over every single policy that is in conjunction with the policy that they're hoping to create to see if one actually fits the best. His thought was they don't have the time or resources to do so. So the best thing to do was to take a policy, the current policy, and build upon it, and do it in a way to allow citizens to be able to digest and take in what the changes were going to be instead of having something brand new come in and be overwhelming. Just like the SB 1046, California already has established DUI deterrent law, and the SB 1046 just builds upon it. Now, lawmakers kind of took a chance and did a pilot program just to see how well it would work, and they did it within 4 counties. And this allowed citizens, again, to kind of get their feet wet, to understand that in the near future, there was going to be a change to the DUI law, and this is what it was going to be. And it really gave them a chance to get used to it, adjust, and really digest what was to come. We have 3 recommendations for the continuance of the SB 1046 law. And the first one is we need more accurate data regarding the effectiveness of the program. Without good data, it really weakens the argument for the continuance of this program. The second recommendation is for a higher concentration of accountability. So far, only 42% of the offenders within the pilot program were actually complying. And so with this new program, I think there needs to be a little more oversight to make sure that every offender is actually complying with the program, which will lead to better data as well to make sure to see if the program's actually being effective. And the last recommendation that we would like to make is for more funding to educate the public about the program. I don't think that people actually understand that when you do this program, you're going to be back on the road a lot quicker. Although it does cost money, there are different funding options to help with the cost of the program. And we want people to really get on board with using this because really the effectiveness of it is key to saving lives. The SB1046 ignition interlock device law came into effect on January 1st, 2019. And so far, there's very little data to study to determine if this law has created any type of positive or negative effect towards behavior with California drivers. However, we can study the Senate Bill 91, which is the pilot program that lawmakers put into place within 4 counties in California. And within that study, you can go on the DMV website, and there's a couple different studies with regards to the pilot program. And one is a general deterrent evaluation of the ignition interlock pilot program in California. And what they found was that the interlock device has increased in installation from 2.1% to 42.4%. However, they have not found that within the pilot program that it aided at all in reducing the number of first-time repeat offenders. Now, there's a few other reports on the DMV website which I thought were very interesting. And the 2017 annual report of the California DUI Management Information System indicates that there has been an overall change in behavior from 2010 to 2015. And what it says is that it indicates that there has been an overall decrease in arrest rates by 8.6%. And so that's really interesting that these two reports kind of conflict a bit. But with the 2017 report, we can't necessarily specify whether that information is directly in correlation to the pilot program, which is the only information that we have at this time.
That is our presentation on the Senate Bill 1046. Thank you.